Jai Hind, myself Neha Garg. I am assistant professor in Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, and today's lecture is on PN junction diode. This topic has been taken from the subject Fundamentals of Electronics Engineering, and the subject code is BEC 101. So first of all, different type of materials are there. Like first is the insulator, second one is the semiconductor, and third one is the conductor. So insulator means it will not conduct the electricity. There will be the conductivity in this insulator will be 0, and this is due to the fact that the forbidden energy gap in between valence band and conduction band is almost greater than 5 electron volt. This valence band is completely filled, this is completely filled, and this conduction band is empty. So generally, if conduction band is empty, so conduction electrons are not available for the flow of current. And if we provide energy to this insulator, like in the form of heat, in the form of electrical energy, the covalent bonds in the valence bond, it will break, and the electrons will free and they jump into the conduction band. And in that case, the breakdown of the insulator will occur. And in case of the semiconductor, the energy gap between the valence band and the conduction band is almost equal to 1 electron volt. Like in case of the silicon, it is almost 1.1 electron volt, and for germanium, it is 0.67 electron volt. So it is almost near to the 1 electron volt. So here at room temperature, this semiconductor acts as an insulator, means valence band is completely filled and conduction band is empty. And if we increase the temperature, some of the covalent bond in the valence band, they will break, and the electrons from the valence band, they jump into the conduction band. So in that case, conduction band is partially filled and valence band is partially filled. So this is the condition when we increase the temperature, and at absolute zero, semiconductor behave as a insulator. And like in the case of the conductor, there is a overlapping in between the conduction band and valence band. Some of the valence electrons are always available in the conduction band, and they create the conductivity. That's why conductor, like metals like iron, copper, they provide the good conductivity. After that, N-type material. So these are the semiconductor is of two types, like intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. So intrinsic semiconductors are those semiconductors which are available in their purest form, like silicon, germanium. So these are the intrinsic semiconductor because they are in the purest form. And extrinsic semiconductors are those in which, like N-type and P-type, like in which some impurity is doped to increase their conductivity. Like we have a silicon, and silicon has, the atomic number of silicon is 14. So it has 4 electrons in their outermost orbit, and these electrons are called the valence electrons. So if we doped like pentavalent element like antimony, phosphorus, arsenic. Pentavalent element means the element which has a 5 electrons in their outermost orbit. Such type of elements are doped into the silicon. So if we see the structure, like here antimony is doped in this case. So we can see antimony has 5 electrons in its outermost orbit, and in surrounding there is a silicon which has a 4 electrons. So we can see these 4 electrons, they are making the bond, these 4 electrons making the bond, these are making the bond, these are making the bond, because every atom has a tendency to complete their octet. So if it has 5 electrons, it wants to complete 8 electrons in the outermost orbit. So that's why they are making a strong covalent bond here. But we can see this electron remain left. So this electron, it increases the conductivity of N-type semiconductor. This is freely available. And in next case, this is the N-type semiconductor. So we can see the Fermi level in the case of the N-type semiconductor is lying near to the conduction band. Fermi level increases, shows the density of the electrons that is lying near to the conduction band. So, and here we can see, like silicon, antimony is there, it has having 5 electrons, and in surrounding 4 silicon is there having 4 electrons in their outermost orbit, like in this way. So this is making the covalent bond, this is making covalent bond, this is making covalent bond, this is making covalent bond. So this electron is left here and it will be freely available in the crystal. So this antimony, it left that electron. That's why antimony becomes the donor electron. And here we can see this is the boron, and boron has a 3 electrons in their outermost orbit. That's why it is called a trivalent atom. And 3 electrons are there. Silicon is there. Here also silicon is there. Here also silicon is there. Here also silicon is there. So it is making the covalent bond. It is making the covalent. It is making the covalent bond. But here 1 electron is left here. There is a deficiency of 1 electron is here for making the, to complete the octet. So this deficiency of electron is called the hole. So somewhere, any place, these bonds will break and electron will migrate from this place to this place. So electron movement will be in this way, and since the electron will be leaving this place, so here will be a hole now. Now this hole will be occupied by another electron. So some of the covalent bonds will break, they will leave the electron, and in that place hole will create. So electron and hole always be generating in a pair, and they will always be traveling in a opposite direction. Now what happens when we combine the p-type and n-type semiconductor? Till now we have seen, like in n-type semiconductor, if we see, it has electrons in majority and holes in minority, and also it has a donor ions. Donor ions are positive ions. Like if we dope the antimony in a silicon, then antimony ions will be a donor ions, because they leave the electrons. Their 5th electrons will be available for the conduction. So they are donating that electrons, and after donating they will become positive, and that positive ion is strongly held by the surrounding silicon atoms. That's why these donor ions are immobile in nature. They can't move within the n-type semiconductor. Similarly, in case of a p-type semiconductor, we have seen the, like boron is there, it has a 3 electrons in the outermost orbit, and deficiency of 1 electron is there. So it accepts the electron from the another atom, and after accepting that electron, it becomes the negative, and that is called the acceptor ion. After that, this is how this depletion layer is formed when p-type semiconductor and n-type semiconductor, they combine to form a diode. So this is the structure of the diode. This is p-type plate and this is the n-type plate, and this part is called the anode and this part is called the cathode. So when we combine p and n together, what happens? Like p have a majority of holes and n have a majority of electrons. So here there is a like electrons, holes will move. This is the p and this is n. So they on both sides there is a concentration of majority charge carriers. So due to the concentration difference, holes will move here and electrons will move from n to p, and this process is called the diffusion process. And at the junction, both electrons and holes, they will recombine. So this region is free of the free charge carriers, and it contains only the immobile charge ions. Like in p, acceptor ions are there, and in n-type, electrons are there. Oh, sorry, donor ions are there. So the depletion region is that region which is formed due to the deployation of the free charge carriers, that is the electrons and holes, and it contains only the immobile charge ions, that is the donor ion and the acceptor ion. And we can see here negative charge is there, here positive charge is there. So this plus minus, this charge accumulation, it forms the barrier potential. So it is why it is called the barrier potential, because it stops the further movement of the majority charge carriers. That's why it is called the barrier potential. Now if we want to see the working of the diode, we can consider the 3 cases, like zero biasing, and another one is the zero biasing is there. After that, forward biasing, and after that reverse biasing. So in zero biasing, if we combine P and N together, what happens? Only there will be a formation of depletion layer, and this depletion layer will be formed due to the difference of majority charge carriers on both sides. So and this depletion layer, there will be a, this side is minus, this side will be plus. So this potential is called the barrier potential. So this barrier, why this is called the barrier potential? Because it repel now holes that will, those holes that were moving from P to N, they are repelled by this positive charge, and electrons, those were moving from N to P, they were repelled by this negative charge. So this barrier potential, this stops the movement of the majority charge carriers. So what we have to do, we have to overcome that barrier potential. Only then our diode will be in conducting state. So another bias is the forward bias. In forward bias, P is connected with the positive supply and N is connected with the negative supply. So what happens when we like here minus charge is there, here plus charge is there, and we have applied this plus, this minus. So this battery, it overcomes this barrier potential. So this barrier potential will be eliminated, and now the further movement of the majority charge carrier, like holes from this side, P side, and electrons from this side, they will move here and they will move here. So the majority current will flow from this point to this point. I majority will be flowing from P to N side, and also due to the accumulation of this barrier potential, the minority charge carriers near to the junction, they will also cross. Like electrons in P type semiconductor, they will move here, and holes from N type semiconductor, they will move here. So direction of minority current will be in this way. So net current in this case will be, I net would be equal to I majority minus I minority. And I minority, it will include the minority charge carriers only near to this junction. So this is the case with the forward bias. In forward bias, we can see if we increase the forward bias, this depletion region will decrease, because the majority charge carriers will now cross the junction and they will contribute to the majority current. And also in this case, the resistance of the diode is also very low. For ideal diode, it is almost 0, and for practical diode, it lies in the range of 1 to 100 ohm. And also when we connect the p-n junction diode in reverse bias, means if we connect the P terminal to the N type and the P terminal to the negative terminal of the battery and N with the positive terminal of the battery, then this diode will be in reverse bias. So in reverse bias case, like barrier potential is, this is minus, this is plus, this is our barrier potential, and we are giving battery in this polarity. So we are actually increasing the barrier potential. Now barrier potential will not eliminate, and if we cannot eliminate the barrier potential, the diode will not be able to conduct. Like we have in the case of forward bias, we have eliminated the barrier potential, but here barrier potential is not eliminated, so there will be not a flow of the majority charge carriers. So this slide is basically depicting the depletion region, like minus, plus, and here we can see this electron holes are there. So this is the acceptor ions, and these are the donor ions. So this is the case when we have not applied any bias to the diode. This is the zero bias condition is shown here. And this circuit is for your forward bias. Like P is connected with the positive terminal and N is connected with the negative terminal. And we can see this the direction of the majority current in this way, and this IS is the minority current. So net current is ID is I majority minus I minority. So this is the, and this condition is for the reverse bias. So in reverse bias, I have told you already that we are increasing the barrier potential. We are increasing the barrier potential, so majority current will not flow because majority charge carriers are not able to cross the junction. And in that case, minority current will be more in comparison to the forward bias, because here all the minority charge carriers, those are present in the semiconductor, they all will involve in conduction. In previous case, like in forward bias, only the minority charge carriers, those present near the junctions, they are able to cross the junction. But here the minority charge carrier present at this place, overall all the semiconductor, they all will involve in the conduction. So minority current will be more in comparison to forward bias here. and the direction of the minority current will be from N to P, and majority current will be 0 in this case. And also here the depletion layer will also increase if we increase the reverse bias, because the majority charge carriers are not able to cross the junction. And here the for ideal diode the resistance in reverse bias is almost infinity, and for forward bias it is in the range of mega ohms, mid to very high. Now this is the VI characteristics of the PN junction diode. So here this region is a forward bias region, this is the forward bias, and this is the reverse bias region. So we can see this also in this way, like this is the horizontal axis is for voltage and this axis is for current. So this is the forward bias characteristic and this one is the reverse bias characteristic. So forward bias characteristic, the current will be in milliampere, because the current is the I majority minus I minority is there, and here the current will be in microampere, because the current is the reverse saturation, reverse current is there. So here we can see this is the cut-in voltage or knee voltage. Cut-in voltage or knee voltage is that voltage which is applied across the diode when it is in forward bias, and this voltage is applied to overcome the barrier potential. Like in case of the silicon, barrier potential is 0.7. So here the knee voltage is 0.7. Minimum this voltage should be applied across the diode so that the diode come in the conduction state. So before this 0.7 the voltage output will be 0, current will be 0 in this case. After that we can see the current is exponentially increases, and in the reverse bias we see if we increase the reverse bias voltage the current is increasing, and after some time it becomes constant. The current that become constant is called the saturation current. If we increase the reverse bias voltage, slowly all the minority charge carriers will involve in the conduction, and at a point will come at which all the minority charge carriers in the semiconductor they involve in the conduction. So at that point the current will become constant, and that current is called the reverse saturation current. And if we are increasing the reverse bias voltage, a point will come at which the PN junction diode will break down, will damage. So this point is called the breakdown voltage, because at this point all the covalent bonds will break and suddenly huge amount of current will flow. So that will be the breakdown of the diode and the diode will get damaged. So certainly PN junction diode should be operated up to this region, not in this region. In this region the diode will get damaged. So this expression ID is equal to Is e to the power Vd eta Vt minus 1. This is the expression for the diode. Like we have a diode and we have applied supply across this diode. We have providing forward biasing this diode. So we measure voltage across this diode. This voltage is called the Vd, and the current flowing this diode is measured with the help of ammeter. This current is Id. So this Id, the current that is flowing across the diode when it is in forward bias, this Id is given by Is e to the power Vd upon eta Vt minus 1. This Is is the reverse saturation current. Means when the diode in reverse bias, so this current is called the reverse saturation current, and this Vd is the voltage across the diode that is developed, and Vt, this Vt is the thermal voltage. It depends upon the temperature and it is given by the formula Kt by Q. K is the Boltzmann constant, T is the temperature in Kelvin, and Q is the charge. So at room temperature its value is 26 millivolt. Vt is equal to 26 millivolt at room temperature, and eta is the constant figure. It is 1 for germanium and 2 for silicon. So we can see this equation. So basically if we expand this expression, this Is e to the power Vd upon eta Vt, this is the majority current, and minus Is means if we multiply this Is into the bracket, then the expanded term will be Is e to the power Vd upon eta Vt minus Is. So this expression will be valid for forward bias. So in forward bias the expression of the current will be Id Is e to the power Vd upon eta Vt minus Is, and here the expression of the current will be Is, because in reverse bias the majority current is 0. So only the reverse saturation current will be flowing, that is indicated by minus Is. So here the terminology is there, like VT is called the thermal voltage and IS is called the applied forward bias voltage across the diode, and is a factor function of the operation condition. After that, the forward bias voltage, like in silicon we know the forward bias, the minimum voltage, like if we have a silicon diode is there, this is the silicon diode, okay, and we have to apply a voltage across this diode, so that this diode must be come in the conduction state. So we know the barrier potential of silicon is 0.7, so we have to multiply at least this voltage is 0.7 or must be greater than 0.7, then only our diode will be in working condition. And if it is a gallium arsenide diode, barrier potential is 1.2, so the minimum voltage applied across the diode must be 1.2 or more than that. Only then the diode will be in the conducting state. Now this is the difference in between the germanium silicon and gallium arsenide voltage current characteristic curve. So in case of the germanium, 0.3 is the knee voltage, means before 0.3 it will not start conducting, and for silicon it is 0.7, and for gallium arsenide it is 1.1. So we can see first difference in between three is that they all of three have a different cut-in voltage, and we can see the reverse saturation current is this much and this much and this much. So reverse saturation current for germanium is maximum in comparison to the gallium arsenide and silicon, and breakdown voltage in case of gallium arsenide is more in comparison to silicon and germanium. So this is the main difference between all of three, germanium, silicon and gallium arsenide. Germanium has a cut-in voltage of 0.3, silicon has 0.7 and gallium arsenide has 1.2. So these are the effect of temperature on diode. So in first case we can see the this is our cut-in voltage. So this cut-in voltage will decrease if we increase the temperature, and it will decrease by the rate of 2.5 millivolt per degree centigrade. Like if we increase the 10 degree centigrade temperature and we have a cut-in voltage of 0.7, so it will decrease by 2.5 25 millivolt per 10 degree centigrade. Okay, now reverse bias reason, the reverse saturation current. Reverse saturation current means like this current. So this current does not depend upon the reverse bias voltage, it depends upon the temperature. If we increase the temperature, then only this reverse saturation current will increase. And thermal voltage, it will also increase with the temperature. Its formula is Vt is equal to Kt by Q. So and the reverse breakdown voltage of a semiconductor diode will increase or decrease with temperature depending upon the Zener potential. Means if the Zener potential is greater than 5 to 8, then it will be in the Zener breakdown, and on increasing temperature, breakdown will decrease, and if it is greater than the 8 volt, means it will be in the avalanche region, and on increasing temperature, breakdown voltage will also increase. So these are the effect of temperature. Now in next lecture we will discussing about the rectifiers. Thank you.